excuse how kind of moist my hair looks. We're talking about the age of consent and morality versus legality. Legality, or something, law versus morals. And basically, I'll start off with something we can all agree with. It should not be like, okay. There have been cases where somebody is, underage, and they're taking nude photos of themselves, and they send it to, a person they're in a relationship with who is also underage, and now they're both on a sex offenders list. Or maybe just the first person is on the sex offenders list. There's tons of cases of this happening because that person is distributing child pornography because they are minors in those photos, sending it to another minor. And the sex offenders registry is places where predators and, people grooming minors are to keep, the public safe. And a minor keeping photos of themselves, which are nude, and sending them to other minors because they're in a relationship should not count as being on par with, predators and people who are grooming people. And, just because they're both minors. And I hope we can agree on that. And if you don't, because maybe you're like sexually conservative and you think that no person should be taking photos of their bodies nude like that, I can respect your opinion on that, right? We may differ, but you can probably agree with me that taking nude photos of yourselves is not the same as, freaking trying to date a 14-year-old when you're above 40 or when you're middle-aged or something like that. Those are both objectively so profoundly different in that both teenagers are probably experimenting, but the middle-aged person is probably, is definitely taking advantage of a minor who doesn't know, what love is, or, maybe isn't experienced enough to know what a healthy relationship looks like. And so, basically, the age of consent is this, arbitrary age. It varies from state to state in the United States about, what age you can legally be considered, able to consent to, sexual acts or, a sexual relationship. And this age is at the lowest, I think, like 16, and the highest, 18, right? And it is supposed to protect minors and not give somebody who is middle-aged the right to wait for someone to be 18. And there's this gross sexualization of celebrities, teenage celebrities who turn 18. One example is like Billie Eilish, people who turn 18 and now, oh, guys, look, she's now at the age of consent, so now we can sexualize them. No, that doesn't give you the go-to for sexualizing somebody. The age of consent is the time period where minors are the ones being protected, not you. The difference is that a minor, once they reach the age of a consent, can now legally, feel like they're competent enough to engage in a sexual relationship. But even then, there's so much nuance and so much delicacies in regards to the variance in maturity, in variance of like life stages that somebody is at. For example, the difference between somebody in terms of their life progress and stage when they're 40 and 45 is marginally very not much different, right? They're very similar. But the difference between somebody who's 18 and 23 is vastly different. Somebody who is 23 is probably out of college by then, is probably getting a job, probably has a degree, while somebody who's 18 just graduated high school. I hope that we can agree that both of those are super different stages of life. And whereas they're the same time gap, 5 years between 18 and 23, and, 40 and 45, a 23-year-old should not be dating an 18-year-old. Or at least, in the majority of cases. Right? Again, because those stages of life mean that an 18-year-old can be taken advantage of so easily in comparison to another 23-year-old. And that difference only grows more drastic when you're 25 or 27 or 29. That 11-year difference may not matter when you're like 39 and 49 or 38 and 49, right? Those are pretty similar. Maybe people have that kind of age gap. But when you're 18 and somebody else is trying to date you and you're 29, that's real sketch. So, the age of consent, just because somebody is over the age of consent, doesn't mean that it gives you the right to suddenly be a predator on their, their even though they're still entering adulthood. And if you're 18 and, somebody sees that as an opportunity to take advantage of you, I hope you see through it. Because, I mean, this should probably be pretty obvious enough with the other videos I've made. I'm a minor myself. And when I turn 18 and when my friends turn 18, I hope we'll all be safe so that, people don't think that it's right, or people won't take advantage of us in a new environment, in a job, in a new school, college, post-secondary institution, whatever we all go for. Because again, somebody can easily take advantage and make you ask, oh man, this 29-year-old really gets me. They're really like acting my age, when, really, if a 29-year-old can't date other 29-year-olds, maybe the question is, maybe the focus shouldn't be them being, shouldn't the focus be on why nobody else their age wants to date them, and they have to date somebody who's 10 years younger than them? So, that's my piece. Age of consent, morality, other stuff, legality. I hope you have a wonderful week, and goodbye.